Welcome to the show. Hi, I'm Randy Jeffers, and we are live from the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Well, we're in Las Vegas, and guess what? If you have ever wanted to know the behind the scenes, the inner workings of how Las Vegas works, we have with us Mary Kay Page, who is a dealer here. Now, Mary Kay, you're a dealer at one of the big casinos here. We're not going to mention any names, so that way we can be free to tell some cool stories, but we're going to talk a little bit about how that all works. You know, there's a lot of people that probably don't have a clue what it takes to do gambling here, and you know how all the things work, and hopefully we'll be able to give them some insight, so next time they're here they'll know exactly what to do. But tell us a little about yourself. How'd you get involved being a dealer?
Well, once I had a friend say, why don't you be a dealer? And I said, why not? So that's how I became a dealer. And it's a very fun job. I really enjoy it. Once upon a time, I did an aptitude test to see what you would be good at. And the aptitude said I would be good at a monotonous job that you work with your hands. So here I am. I'm a dealer, and that's what I do.
Probably not too monotonous, though.
No, not with the interaction.
Yeah.
I thrive on the interaction.
Now, you've been a dealer for how long?
Oh, I tell the youngins 15 years, but it's close to 30. When I say 30 years, they're like, "Oh my gosh!"
My goodness.
Yes.
So you've seen it all. 30 years ago, this was a totally different town, right?
30 years ago, the players who played were different. Mostly men played 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And then slowly women played too, and so usually women used to just play the machines and stuff like that. Now everybody plays.
Now, so you're a dealer at 21 game? Is that what you do mostly?
It's the blackjack game and a game we call the carnival games. They're the Let It Rides, the Caribbean Stud type games.
Okay. Now, for those of us that aren't from Las Vegas that don't know what those things mean, can you explain a little bit about the different kinds of games?
There's blackjack games that you're adding up to the 21. That's the famous one. And the other games are poker games against the dealer.
Okay.
And they're a lot of fun. They're more interaction. People have more fun with each other, because on blackjack, people tend to get mad at each other when they don't play odds correctly. And on these games, you really can't affect anybody else's play. So everybody just has a good time. It's a different clientele. That's kind of why I like them a little bit more.
So, you're dealing at a table that looks something like this table right here, right?
Exactly like it.
And how many people sit at your table?
Between, a lot of tables have 6, some have 7 spots.
Okay. And is it usually full? When, of course, they want to come to you, right?
Yeah, it's usually full. And I do have a good time with my players. They usually stay with me for quite a while, or at least they're a couple days that they're here.
So do you have regulars that come like every week or every month, or?
There's quite a clientele that we have of regulars that come every 3 months. That's pretty regular for regulars.
So you get to know them.
Yes. Good to see them again, welcome them back, have a good time with them, tell them the stories, and interact.
So what percentage of your customers do you think win? Or is that a secret that we should not talk about?
That I say to people is I give away money all the time. You just don't leave with it, because they stay and give it all back. I even tell you to leave. So most people, they buy in a certain amount and they just keep playing until that amount, they've either played a long time and still have that same amount, or they've played a long time and had a good time on that amount, and that amount's gone, and that's the end of that session kind of for them.
So very few people quit while they're ahead.
Very few people. Nobody.
Nobody. Okay. That's why the casinos are so big, and why they have $1 million chandeliers and things like that.
But I'm not saying nobody ever leaves. Sometimes they'll double their money, and that's good enough.
Yeah.
And either leave with the money they started with, that's winning, or double their money. Most of the people that I deal with aren't trying to get rich. They're just trying to have a good time.
Yeah.
But they're here for the thrill of the chase. That's what I tell them. You could be the one.
You could be the one. Now, what's the biggest win that you've ever had at your table?
Like $37,000 maybe on when they hit a good bonus. But I remember my biggest loss. I had a guy playing blackjack, $10,000 on every 6 spots. He lost 6 rounds in a row and never even blinked.
So how much did he lose?
It was like 360,000 or something like that. So
Wow.
60,000, 60,000, 60,000, 60,000, 60,000.
Wow. So now you're playing out in the regular part of the casinos, right? Not the high rollers.
Correct.
Now the high rollers is a different story, right? I'm sure you've watched that.
Yes, I have friends that deal to the high rollers, and I like the little people like me because we can have more good times together.
Yeah.
The people that deal to the high rollers, they have to put up with a lot more because in order to be in those rooms, you kind of get a little more break time, a little more time off, a lot of more dead tables, but you also have to put up with really hard people sometimes.
Yeah.
So
multi-millionaires or
Yes,
billionaires,
yes.
right? Yeah.
So I like people that I can joke with and, try to joke them out of bad moods and stuff like that.
Interesting. So what, if you could give us a secret, if you're going to come to Vegas and you're going to play a table game, are there any secrets, little things that people should know?
Don't be afraid to come to the tables. We teach the game to like at least 90% of the people that sit down. So don't think everybody there is already knows what's going on completely. So that's basically the secret is just don't be afraid to just walk up to the table and try to find a dealer that looks like they're friendly, and be friendly yourself. And that's just basically the secret is just come to have a good time. Don't think you're going to win. If you leave with the money you started with or a little bit more, then you had a great time.
So there's nothing wrong with telling the dealer, hey, I'm new. I don't know how
Yes.
this works. Can you kind of hang with me a little bit? And they will?
They will, yes.
Uh-huh.
And just like I said, just start off with somebody that looks like they're friendly.
Yeah.
You can tell if they're talking to their other players, or you walk up, if you say hi, if they say hi back, then you got a friendly dealer.
Very interesting. Is there any other tricks or any other secrets?
Tricks or secrets? Come with the amount of money you expect to lose. Don't take money out on a credit card because then you'll have no more fun. You'll not have any fun, and just come with the attitude that you're going to have a good time. Have some cocktails, talk to your fellow players, just try to have a good time with everybody.
Now, one of the things when you're gambling and you're at a table, the drinks are free.
The drinks are free. You just tip the cocktail waitress. Just make sure she keeps coming back on time and doesn't forget your drink, because that's been known to happen. And I really can't tell people to tip. I might try to hint a little bit, but this whole town runs on tips.
Right.
And just like myself, I accept tips. And my service to you is my having a good time with you. And you would never sit in front of any kind of waitresses or food servers and never not tip them. So that kind of
Right.
happens to us a little bit, is they'll sit with my table for like quite a long time. And they really, after a while, I'm not having fun anymore. Well, that's no fun if you give everything in your service and it's not recognized.
Uh-huh.
So you don't have to tip a lot. A lot is good, but you don't have to tip a lot. Just a little bit, just to show that, gosh, I'm glad that we're you're talking to me and we're having a good time. And
So how much should you tip? What do you think is a good amount?
if you're not winning, just $1 consistently every I don't even know, just every while,
2 or 3.
more than that. If you're not winning, I don't expect you to tip me every 5 hands, but maybe every 8 hands, 10 hands, throw me just something. If you're winning, you can throw us a 5. If you're doing really good, if you're a big player, they will throw 5 more often. They'll throw us a quarter. Some people will tip us quarters. You bet them for the dealer. That makes the dealer try a little bit harder. I know it's all luck, but we kind of there's luck and there's a little bit of superstition that goodwill kind of goes a long way too. Don't smoke cigars on the table. Stop that.
Now, people do that.
Yes,
There's no prohibition against it.
No, and it's very hard. Sometimes it's better to be the dealer with the cigar smoker because he's trying to be nice to me,
Mm-hmm.
than be anybody else in the whole pit because now it's going at them.
Oh.
Cigarettes, they go out. Cigars just last.
Yeah, I guess that's right.
So sorry, cigar smokers, but
Now, the really big casinos, the big fancy ones, They have pretty good air purification. You don't seem to smell any kind of smoke in those places.
The newer the casino, the better the air system.
Yeah.
At 9/11, I got laid off, and I ended up at the Stardust for a little while. And after not working for 6 months and working in a smoke environment, it was very tough because it was bad in there because their system was so old. And I thought the first day after waking up after working my first full day that I was having a heart attack because I couldn't breathe
wow.
because my system wasn't used to that smoke. So the newer casinos are the better casinos. And my casino, it just seems like they're always wiping it down and they're always cleaning it. So that's why it smells better, because they're always wiping it down to keep it nicer and fresher.
Now, the Stardust is no longer, right?
No,
That was, what's it now?
I have no idea. I never get towards that end of the strip.
Okay. That's SLS maybe. Was that the Stardust?
No, SLS was the Sahara.
Oh, the Sahara, that's right, okay. And that's all been changed. And it's amazing what goes on in the strip. Every time you go there, it's just different. You know, they're building and all kinds of new things.
Yeah, I remember when the Mirage was the new thing. That was the new theme and everything. And after that, it just seemed like every 2 years it would reinvent itself until the economy went bad, and that's when there was just this big standstill. But like people would come to town every year or so, and there'd be a new casino.
All right, so you have the table games, and then you have these one-armed bandits, right? That they used to call them. I don't know if they still have the bandit. They have buttons now, but are any secrets to those things? So that's really what more people play those, don't they, than table games?
I don't know if they play more or not.
There's more of them for
yes,
sure.
I'm not into the machines. They just don't seem. Well, first of all, there's no one to talk to, so you're just like one-on-one, and they don't seem to give you much play. So. The machines, the best advice I say is if you've got a good one, keep playing it. If it's bad, it's bad. Don't keep playing it. It's not going to give you any money. There's really, around my table, sometimes I'll tell people that I see a machine that pays often, and I'll tell them to go play it. And that's the best I can do. There used to be change people that used to always tell you where the lucky machines were. Well, now there's slot attendants, and they've got such big sections that they just have to go around, so they don't see much anymore.
It's interesting. Yeah, I've heard that it's better to play an aisle machine than one that's in the middle, because if it goes off, more people see it and are attracted to it.
Yeah, I've always heard that too.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, maybe. Nobody knows really what. I guess only the executives know those things, huh?
That, yes, I'd say the executive. And there's like there's websites and stuff that tell you about the different machines, that tell you, I don't know what they tell you, so I don't know, but they do tell you about better machines or what machines are out new.
Very interesting. So if you're playing the machines, then you also can have drinks for free? Somebody comes around and...
Yes, and the same thing. Their section sometimes is bigger than ours. So make sure you do take care of them, maybe even a little bit extra on those ones, because they have a hard time, and make sure they remember you.
So if you wanted to order a cocktail, for instance, what kind of tip? They bring it to you, it's free, but what kind of tip would you give?
Actually, I got in an argument with somebody about this, so I'm kind of hard to say this, but I'd say $1 per drink, $2 per drink. If you order Primo Scotch, which you can sometimes on some of the tables, the better the drink, tip her a little bit more. Because if you're at a bar, the drinks are like $7, $8 per drink, if not more. There's one drink, the Bellagio, the cocktail that I've had when I've gone to that casino, and
that's the famous one that's been in the in movies.
Yes,
Bellagio. Yeah.
That's everybody goes in there looking for that staircase that used to be in that movie.
Yeah. Is it in there?
No. But there's a drink there that's $17.50 a drink. So if I ever play on a table, I like ordering it because it's like getting $17.50 every time you drink it.
Wow. So you probably want to leave $3 or $4 or something.
So the better the drink, the more the tip.
Can you say the name of the drink?
It's a Bellagio cocktail.
The Bellagio cocktail. What's in it?
It's a champagne drink, and there's another one called a Bellini. That one has peach puree in it, and the other one is frozen, one is not. They're very delicious drinks.
Very interesting.
but I love my margaritas.
Well, I'm not a gambler, so I don't play any of those games, and yet it amazes me when I walk through a casino, the amount of people that just sit at those machines and just for hours and hours and just pushing a button and staring. It just, to me that seems foreign, but so many people do that. It's just what's the addiction to that, or what's the attraction?
I call it the thrill of the chase.
Yeah.
That's what you're there for. You could be the one. I think that's why I'm lucky that I've never really won a lot of money on a machine, because the people that I know that have, now they're addicted.
Yeah.
So the thrill is just trying to win the big money. And once you do, sometimes...
You can get away from it.
Yes.
Or if you see somebody else, maybe.
But I still say that the tables are just a more fun way to go. Just go and enjoy the games, enjoy the company. I really enjoy what I do. I get to talk and play with cards and money all day. I have the perfect job.
Yeah. So now you work in one of the big, giant, fancy casinos, and so when you look around, when you go to work on a daily basis, how many people do you see that win a jackpot? Does it happen every day?
You mean on my tables?
No, not on your table. Just
and machines
in general,
around me?
like maybe the slot machines, or it must happen quite often.
No.
No.
No, but people, if they double their money, they're happy.
Yeah.
Sometimes if there's like a machine that's in front of me that I've been watching for a while that's been winning, and if you are playing $5 a spin, which is a lot because I pay 30 cents if I ever play, they could leave with $1,000. One guy, it was taxable, so it was like $3,000. But I've seen other people play it for 30 cents and leave with $200, and they're happy. So it just depends on what you're willing to be happy with.
Now, one of the things that I know I've heard about, it's never happened to me because I don't know how it all works, but maybe you can enlighten us. But there are comps that people get when they come to Vegas to gamble, right? You can get free rooms. You can get, I know people that do get free rooms. There's people that get free meals. They get shows free. How does that work? How are you able to do that?
I've been dealing for 30 years, and in the old days, you used to yawn and they would throw you a buffet comp. Mm-hmm. Those days are long gone. So if you give your card and you're actually expecting to get things like that, most likely you're not. But that's coming from a point of view that I'm a 30 cents a spin player. So people like me that aren't going to bet a lot are not going to get a lot. So a lot of times people will play like $20 and they'll give me their card and they'll ask me what eventually it's going to add up to. I don't want to tell them the bad news, but probably like, $5 after a week's play, because it doesn't add up. Mm-hmm. If you're a big player, they'll play even more just to make sure they get the comps. But by the time they're, finished playing more to get the comps, they could have just bought it. So comps is not a way to even think about it. Think about, you're having a good time and you're getting cocktails. That's the comp. You're getting the cocktails and then having a good time.
No, I have a friend that brings in high rollers, and I forget what his title. They have titles, but he brings in multimillionaires from other countries, but they actually pay for their airplanes, and
so those people get their airfare paid for, their rooms paid for. They don't get rooms like you and I would. They get rooms that are bigger than my house. Yeah. They get these suites that are just so incredible that I heard about. I would love to see them someday, but they have the suites, they have courtyards in their suites. It's a pretty sweet thing. But they do gamble a lot, but they enjoy it. I have people at my table that will look at their $5 bet, and they'll look at your $100 bet, and they'll say, well, what do you want me to do? Because they ask if he wants to play different. And it's just chips. So the $100 player would never enjoy playing $5. And the $5 player would never enjoy playing $100. So everything is relative of how much you're willing to play, that you get the risk, you get the thrill of the risk.
So unless I have a lot of money and I'm willing to risk the loss, I'm probably not going to get comped. I'm not going to get to go to a free show, or are there other ways of doing it?
There's a website called myvegas.com or something like that. you can build up credits. And I actually have a sister going to be coming to town. I keep telling her, will you do that to see what we can get, if we can at least get a show or something? Because I've heard that is a good way to add up to a shows, but I don't have any details of that, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I know we're a member of a particular company here in town that you pay a fee. It's really not a lot. You pay a yearly fee, and then you can go to a lot of shows for free. Because they want to make sure that all the shows are packed out, and sometimes they're not. If they're not sold out, then they give you free tickets, right?
What's the best show that you've been able to see that way?
Oh, we've seen lots, and there's all the ones up and down the strip, the magic shows,
okay.
and different singers, and Frankie Moreno. There's actually both of them. There's two people with a similar name. I think one's called Frank Moreno. One of them is Moreno, and the other one's Frankie Moreno. One's a singer, and the other one they do it's like not a burlesque, but sort of where men dress up as women and impersonators. Yeah. But the shows here are just unbelievable.
They're very unbelievable.
It's like the best talent in the whole entire world is right here.
What's nice about our showrooms too is I went to a show while in LA, and I had my mom in a wheelchair, so I had kept back a little bit. Well, back a little bit was, oh my gosh, I could barely see the people. And our showrooms are meant for a smaller audience, so even your worst seat is not bad.
Right.
So even your medium seats would be incredible.
Yeah.
So our showrooms are meant for a smaller venue, and they are very good.
I don't think there are bad seats in any of these shows.
No.
They're just, everything is so well designed, and it's phenomenal, the talent that's here. One of the best shows, by the way, which you probably know about, is, and it's always gets an award for being the #1 free show, and that's Big Elvis. And have you ever seen the Big Elvis show?
I have not seen Big Elvis. I've seen a bunch of Elvises. I used to work with Elvis behind me.
Well, Big Elvis is, he used to be, I believe, 900 pounds, and he sits in this big, giant chair. He is a wonderful guy. I actually have gotten to know him personally, and I could tell you some stories about him. That's just wonderful. But you got to go see Big Elvis, and he plays at Harrah's in the piano, where the dueling pianos are.
I've seen that.
And so he plays during the daytime, but he is absolutely phenomenal. But there's such great talent here. It's amazing. And you can literally go to a show every day and never duplicate it. I guess there's just so many of them.
And they have a lot of daytime shows too that are not as expensive as the nighttime shows, and they're just as good. The smaller comedians, the smaller venues, comedians I love. You can never go wrong with laughter. Whether you go to a laugh fest at any of the casinos, they're not as I tell people to go to them. They're not as involved as going to a big show, but you still go to a show and you have a great time.
Absolutely. Now, as an employee, do you get to go to free shows at all?
No, and I really am surprised, especially with anybody that works with the public, because how can I tell people about shows if I've never been to them? And I really am surprised that no one has ever reached out to the dealers or anything like that and said, hey, we want you to come to our shows so you can tell people whether you like them or not. I've been to maybe 5 of the major big shows, and I tell which ones I like, but that's about it. I haven't been to any of the other shows. So it would be nice if they did that so we could tell them. Because I like talking and telling people things.
Absolutely. I still have a little cough from the flu bug that I got last week, but let me take a little swig here. One of the great sets of shows are the Cirque du Soleil shows, and I don't know how many. There's must be at least 10 at least, right?
Yes, I've seen at least 5 of those.
Yeah, they are just. You've got to see those if you come to Vegas. They're just incredible. They're a little bit expensive, but well worth it.
Well worth it. And like we were saying, there's no bad seats.
There's no bad seats.
There's no bad seats.
Yeah, they pulled the one that the best one that I loved, because I'm an Elvis fan, was I think it was called Viva Las Vegas.
I never
Do you remember
got to
that?
see it. Did you see it?
Oh yes, it was just incredible.
There was nothing wrong with the show. It just didn't get the seats, I guess.
Well, it was a huge room, and it said a lot of people, but it was a great show.
And my favorite are O, Mystere, and Ka.
Yeah.
O is just because of the water and the high diving. I have to see that again because I missed the high diving part. But Ka, the stage goes sideways and they're still acting on it. And Mystere is just funny. So all of them are very good shows.
Ka's the one, though, that had someone that there was an accident and somebody died, right?
Yes.
They're so dangerous, these shows.
They're dangerous. That's why I think people like, you got to have a little bit of the thrill. Just like the
Yeah.
old circus acts where they were on the high wire without the wire, without anything on them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So 30 years in Vegas. What kind of changes have you seen? What's the biggest change?
The amount of clubs that these kids go to. There's like a club in every casino. When in my days, I got here just about when I turned 21, we would have to search and see which club was going on. And then we would have a good time at that club. And now every single casino has a big club and they're packed.
And they're DJs.
And they're DJs.
Not live bands or anything, just DJs, right?
Yes. And the thing that changed in the clubs, which just is not good to me, but if the kids are willing to do it, but you stand in the middle and you have a very small dance floor.
Yeah.
And all the people that are willing to pay like $500 for a bottle, they get this big sitting area. So they have all these little big sitting areas. And you have the small dance floor with everybody in the middle just
Not moving. Yeah, just no space. I know there's a Hekasan that's in MGM.
could be.
There's and I understand that some of the tables there go for like $10,000 for a table.
Wow.
It's
So that's those rich people that probably told you this. And they probably get them comped.
Well, that could be some of them, but I'm sure plenty of people pay too, so that they can do that. But it is amazing how much money is out there that comes into this town just on entertainment. People bring huge amounts of money and leave it here. It's just phenomenal.
And a lot of the restaurants too. A lot of people spend a lot of money in the restaurants. And so I used to ask people, are you going to any shows? Now I say, you going to any shows or any restaurants? Because restaurants are just like a show now.
Yeah.
By the time you get entered, you get your service and you get your food, and the food is wonderful. So some people, instead of going to shows, their treat is these very nice restaurants.
Well, what's interesting now is if you go down on the Strip and you drive down, you'll see on pictures on this big on the side of the buildings of chefs. Chefs are the new superstars, right?
Yes.
And the greatest chefs in the world have presence here. They have multiple restaurants, I guess, of different kinds, but yeah, they're all here.
I have a lot of friends that like watching those shows on TV with all the different chefs.
Yeah.
I have no clue.
Well, some of the best restaurants in the world are right here. No doubt about that. So what's your favorite restaurant?
I really never go out to eat. I was just driving by Applebee's the other day thinking, when I go home to visit my family, I'm going to take them to Applebee's. That's my speed.
Really?
I like simple. I am kind of afraid to go to big, expensive restaurants because my palate is uneducated, and I can still go to Applebee's and enjoy it and love the meal. One time I had a prime rib that was so good that ever since then, other prime rib tastes like bologna, so I'm ruined. I can never eat another prime rib unless I go have an $80 prime rib. So I'll stick with my little small restaurants because I like it that way. But I can understand these people that they're the foodies, that they enjoy going to these restaurants and they just enjoy the ambiance of the restaurant and the food and everything. And the restaurants have different themes.
Yeah, they're incredible. Just the way they build them and design them is just. If you have never been to Vegas, you got to come just to see the restaurants. It's just phenomenal, and then the presentation of the food, and it's just you can't even describe it unless you've actually experienced it, right?
Yes, I like my buffets.
Yeah.
That's there's so many good buffets in town that they're not even on the Strip. There's just I always joke around and tell people. They ask me what restaurants on the Strip or where to go, and I said, we locals don't go anywhere near the Strip. I said, there's at least 15 casinos on the outskirts of Vegas. I said, not only do they want your money, they want our money too.
Right.
So that's where we go, is out here. And I always try to inform people the right way to eat a buffet. Because if you ever see anybody that just got their plates piled, and you don't want to do that because your food gets cold. So I always tell people, if you're sitting over here, you walk the whole thing before you even pick up a plate. And then you just go put a little bit on your plate. Go back up. Just put a little bit on your plate. If you go up 5 times, nobody knows
They
you.
don't
Who
care.
cares?
Right. You can go 100 times.
But just keep looking at the dessert bar when you go by, because you never know what might be there.
Well, that's why we stay away from buffets, because you have a tendency, because they're not cheap, and they have anything and everything that you could ever want. I mean, you can go get as much lobster as you want. I mean, it's crazy, but you have a tendency to eat more because you want to get your money's worth, right?
Well, that's why if it's somebody staying here, that's why you only go once a day, once every other couple of days, if you're a buffet person.
Yeah. So what do you think's the best buffet? What do you like?
See, mine's the local casinos. I like the Green Valley Buffet.
Oh, very good. I've been there.
I like the Orleans Buffet because they got beef ribs on their buffet, flame broiled beef ribs, and they're very good.
Yeah.
And
how about the M? Have you been to the M?
the M, yes, they had my tri-tip on that buffet.
Yeah.
They're very good also.
The M is wonderful. On the weekends they have seafood and every kind of seafood you could ever imagine.
And the local casinos, the M is kind of considered local. They're very nice, beautiful
Well, they're
casinos.
gorgeous.
They're
Gorgeous.
beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, what else can you think of that we've missed out on here in Vegas that people should know about?
Red Rock Park.
Ah,
I tell people, some people that are only here for 3 days, I don't tell them, but I ask how long they're going to be here. And then I kind of make suggestions. If they have kids, I kind of make suggestions. I kind of try to see where they're at, see what kind of suggestions they want. And if they have a car, it's great. And I tell them, or rent a car, or you can take a tour, that they go out to Red Rock. It's a beautiful park that's a loop that you can drive.
right.
And the loop, what do you think? Takes about 15 minutes to 20 minutes?
If you just drove straight through.
But it's
But I don't know why you would do that. You could get out and
yes.
hike and,
It's one summer I had a friend that wanted a hiking partner, and I said I'll go. So all summer long, well, actually more, from May to like October, we hiked every weekend in Red Rock, and there's just so many different areas. They've got pictographs and a visitor center that showcases the desert, and it has those little black things that you listen to. And it has numbers, and you walk around the building and you can see all the different aspects of the desert by just listening to it.
Right.
And there's just in the very beginning of the park, there's this red rock that is just so picturesque that you have to stop there. I don't think you cannot.
Yeah.
And there's just so many walks. The Icebox Canyon, Turtle Rock. There's just so many different walks to do.
Yeah, it takes forever to go through all of them, and some of them are many miles long, and some are just short walks. You can pick and choose whatever
Yes.
you like.
You can go for 15 minutes. You can go a half an hour. You can go 2 hours. They have guided.
Yeah.
And then we have Mount Charleston.
Now that's a hidden gem right there, and that's in 30 minutes from right here. We could be going up to Mount Charleston, right? That's how
Yes.
close it is.
Then they have two places up there to go to, and then we have Lee Canyon, which is our skiing place.
So there's snow up there. Yeah, it's a snow.
And they also have a snow play area. Have you been to that?
Of course.
And that's a lot of fun. And then of course there's always the Hoover Dam.
Mhm.
And I took a one-day river rafting at the Grand Canyon. One of the most thrilling things. It was so neat. We did it with the Moapa tribe of Indians, and they have the only bus that takes you down. And so we took this bus ride that was the most interesting bus ride ever. It's not a paved road. And then we rode the boat, and they have white water and black water. And the white water, you're like, and you're having a good time. And then the black water, you're just looking around at the canyon. And that happens 3-4 more times. And they stopped for lunch, and it was
Black
I
water
recommend it.
being peaceful water.
Peaceful water.
And the white water with the rapids.
Yes. And you don't paddle, it's a motorboat.
Yeah. Oh.
And then they helicopter you out in the end.
Wow. Now, so you went to that's the West Rim, right?
Okay.
Probably. That's the
I
one.
didn't know.
That's where the big horseshoe glass thing is.
Yes.
So you can actually walk out over the glass and look down.
Yeah, I didn't do that. That's maybe someday I'll do that. I just hope they pave the road that goes to that because the road is very rough.
Now, you mentioned Hoover Dam. That's a must-see. Of course, one of the great wonders of the world. And
It's so tall.
yeah, it's phenomenal. You can actually go down inside and
Been there, seen the big
Yeah.
turbines.
Yeah, it's interesting. They've rerouted all the roads now, so if you're heading down to Arizona, it's you sort of you used to have to drive right over the
The road went right over
the bridge,
it, yes.
right? But it's all changed now. But you can still get off and go do that, and that's certainly a must for everybody.
And there's hikes around there too. There's a railroad tunnel over there that has some hikes too.
There are, and if you go on the other side of that of the highway, there are some wonderful hikes that we've been on that go down all the way down to the river. That's a great hiking area. Yeah.
And then that's Lake Mead, the water, and they've got tours, water tours on Lake Mead too. They've got dining cruises. They
Yeah.
have
You can rent boats
Yes.
there. You can rent jet skis, all kinds of water things.
and the water's a nice temperature too.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't really. Well, we're in the middle of the desert, so it really doesn't get too cold. But yeah, that was interesting because that Lake Mead is all man-made, and I remember reading. I believe it did 7 or 8 earthquakes. I'm not quite sure, but whenever they filled that up, it was just amazing what happened. It actually made earthquakes happen.
I hadn't read that.
Yeah, because the huge volume of water that's in Lake Mead, that when they built that dam and backed up that lake, it was just incredible what happened. But and then of course here we are. We have Area 51, right? Not too far away. And what do you know about that? You've been here 30 years. Any secrets about that?
No, I know nothing about that. Never been there. Never visited. We have we have another museum, like nuclear testing museum, and all that kind of stuff. I know they have a jerky.
Yeah. Well, that's something, huh?
Yep. Have you been to it?
To Area 51? No, I haven't. I don't know that you can actually go there. I think you have. It's only military.
Is it still
right?
blocked off? Okay.
I know that
There'll be
there's.
some decommissioned.
They have their
everything.
own airlines for people that work out there. That it's actually part of the airport here. And they have to fly out there every day. And it's a whole secret complex that who knows what all goes out
Who
there.
knows?
Yeah. It's supposed to be a spaceman out there, or an outer space guy. You've heard that story, right? Well, this is a place to visit. There's nothing like Las Vegas. It's just incredible.
When I first started dealing, there was no other casinos in the United States. And when the Indian casinos came aboard, they were always worried that it was going to take from us.
Mhm.
But there's no one like us.
Yeah.
We are very friendly. We're just everything about Vegas is different. There's people that still go to Atlantic City, and for a while that was just us and them.
Yeah.
And they just, even people that can gamble around the country. I was having a great time with a guy, I think he was from France, and he was saying something, and I said, well, do your dealers talk to you there? And he's like, no. So it's nice that we are Vegas. We are
Yeah.
friendly Vegas. We're very friendly. Everybody will smile at you. Everybody have a good time. From the maids to the person that serves your drink, to the person that serves you food, to the person that deals to you. We're just a very friendly place to be, and that's why we're in the business, because we're friendly. We like what we do. We like to work with people.
Well, there were 350,000 people that were here last week, and that were guests of this city. And can you imagine that just in one weekend? It's amazing the amount of people that come through here.
And then when we get our Super Bowl stadium, or when we get our stadium,
The Oakland
and hopefully
Raiders,
we'll have the Super
the
Bowl
Las
sooner or
Vegas
later.
Raiders will be here, right? They're breaking ground already. They just started working on the stadium, so about 2 years from now, I guess.
2 years.
they'll
I
be,
was wondering how long. That'll be pretty exciting, and it's very close to the Strip. I didn't know where it was until someone finally pointed out. It's real close to the end of the Strip. So
It's right across the freeway from Mandalay, and I'm sure they'll probably have bridges coming over. So
And I saw something showing it, how it'll have moving walls, so it could see the Strip.
uh-huh.
It'll be interesting how.
Oh, it'll be
yes.
state of the art, I'm sure. Yeah. So now we have the Las Vegas Strip, and then we have an area downtown and Fremont Street, right? How are those different?
That's nice because it's very enclosed, and you can just walk around to the different hotels. When I used to gamble, I used to like to go down there, but it's been so long. It's just a very interesting spot now. It attracts a lot of characters.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll get an eyeful when you go down there. The different type of people that are attracted by that venue, and they want to be seen and be noticed. And it's just a good place to gamble down there. They have a zip line and just different things to do down there. They have the overhead show. I forgot about that.
The laser show.
The laser
yeah, the
show.
whole top is the street is all capped over with laser show running on top of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was here when you could actually drive down there.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah, that was. But now those are older hotels. For the most, they've been a lot of them remodeled.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's a different.
Yes.
They're smaller. It's a more intimate venue, I guess. And then you go out to the Strip, which is not that far away, but just massive, the biggest hotels you'll ever find anywhere are right there.
My favorite thing is when someone will tell me they walked down from a certain casino, and I lean over and I say, "It's a lot further than it looked, wasn't it?" And they're like, "Yeah."
Well, the buildings are so big that it doesn't look far away, but that Strip is pretty long. Yeah, it's amazing. Well, I think one of the misconceptions a lot of people have is when you tell them you live in Las Vegas, they think you live on the Strip or you must be a gambler all the time. But talk about this town. It's really a pretty normal town, isn't it?
And I do say that to people that it's a normal town. Well, how big is it? I said, well, I always judge it by how many Walmarts we have. We got at least 15, 20 Walmarts. My town where I'm from, Niagara Falls, there's like one Walmart.
Yeah.
And so that's how I judge the size of this town is how big it is. And I've been here a long time, and I've just watched it, explode and get bigger and bigger and bigger.
It's a couple
and
million
then it
people in the valley
stops.
here.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to double. It's back in a growing spurt right now. So
We have a lot of parks. We have a lot of churches.
There's actually more churches per capita in Las Vegas than any other major city.
I could believe that. I've driven by quite a few of them, big, small,
Yeah.
just starting, established.
Yeah, that's an interesting statistic, but yeah, very good. Well, we're about out of time, and I think you've shared us some pretty good secrets. So one of the biggest thing is probably to plan a little bit and check out the internet and see what you can find out about. Maybe it is possible to get some comps or figure out how that works, right? And you want to know which casinos to go to too, because they're not all the same. But during the week, prices are pretty cheap for these nice big rooms. Weekends, they double, triple, quadruple sometimes, right?
It depends on the events going on, too.
Yeah.
I always tell people the best time to come to Vegas is after a major sporting event or holiday, because everybody saves up their time and comes on that for that.
Right.
So it could be dead a little bit before, but afterwards, like the weekend after the 4th of July, it's totally dead here. The weekend after Super Bowl, it's totally dead. So
Really?
that's the best time to come is after something major if you can.
And that's when the deals are,
yes.
because they want you to come. Well, very good. Well, Mary Kay, thanks so much for sharing with us your secrets, and I think that's probably going to be a little bit helpful for people that don't know those things. But any one last word of wisdom we have in our last minute?
Just don't be afraid to come up to the tables. Don't think everybody's an expert. Come and have a good time. That's what you're here for. You're here for have a good time.
I guess that's probably the best advice, because most of us would be a little bit hesitant to do that because we don't want to be showed up. We think everybody knows what they're doing, but
Nope,
everybody,
they don't.
know, do
No. I teach all day long. I teach to 90% of the people that sit down.
Yeah.
And I want you to have a good time.
they? Absolutely.
If you're having a bad time, I try to, let you, no, come on, we're having a good time. I try to help people have a good time, so have a good time.
Oh, very good. Well, this has been fascinating, so thank you so much for being with us and sharing. And
welcome.
we'll see you next week, same time, same station. Bye-bye, everybody.